Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So the Supreme Court looking once again at Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. They very well could decide on the case very soon, possibly by the end of the year. And they kind of have seemingly become more open to the idea of striking down Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which is unconstitutional, DEI. It never really should have been a thing because they're handing out seats. They're not handing them out based on geographical distribution or objective fairness or whatever, or proportionality. They're handing them out based on race, and it only goes one way. For example, you can have a bunch of black people living in rural Alabama and it's kind of a strange geographic distribution. They're going to be forced to draw that district there just because of the color of who lives there, not necessarily based on how these districts should be drawn. But when it comes down to like white people in New Mexico, you don't exactly see it. You don't see the call going the other way. And you could just break down identity into so many different ways where this just opens up Pandora's box to the point where it's just ridiculous. And it's ridiculous how they specifically say, okay, no, it has to be done for these groups, but not these other groups. So what we are seeing now is the Supreme Court looking at this. It seems like they're more likely to rule correctly than they were last time, but we have seen this movie before. Will Brett Kavanaugh cave to the same people that ruined his reputation? Well, we'll have to wait and see on that. It's going to take more than just Thomas and Alito. They seem to be on board with the correct decision. Kavanaugh's kind of warming up to it, it seems, but it's too early to tell. Same thing with Amy Coney Barrett, and I think that they'd get Gorsuch before they would get Roberts. So regardless, the main takeaway is that Republicans could gain an avalanche, a red avalanche of seats based on the Supreme Court decision. The New York Times says that Republicans could gain 12 seats. Politico says up to 19. That doesn't even include the ongoing redistricting cases in Missouri, Texas, and other states. So we're going to dive into this a little bit further, but really quickly, guys, got to tell you about my friends over at CHOQ. Men's testosterone levels decline 1% a year on average after the age of 30. Even worse, their levels on average are half of what they were 50 years ago. Testosterone is more than just your manhood. It's critical for mental clarity, mood, sleep, and overall vitality. And the patriots at CHOQ.com, CHOQ.com, have formulated a blend of natural herbal supplements that support your body's natural testosterone production. Just one ingredient in their male vitality stack has boosted free testosterone levels by more than 50% in just 21 days. And right now, you can get 25% off your CHOQ subscription for life. Just go to CHOQ.com, that's CHOQ.com, and use the promo code REDEAGLE. That's 25% off any subscription for life, and you could cancel at any time. CHOQ is made in America, and their all-American customer service team is standing by to assist you. That's CHOQ.com, CHOQ.com, promo code REDEAGLE, or you can call or text them at 50-CHOQ 3000. All right, guys, back to the video. So the Supreme Court looking at Section 2, the antiquated provision that really should have never been a provision of the Voting Rights Act. Now, Republicans possibly on the verge of a massive red wave based on this alone could net them over 12 seats depending on what happens. And why is this so important exactly? Well, look at the House. This is if we reset the map here, the consensus map shows Republicans already at 213. So if they even gain half of that, they would keep their majority, assuming that the Democrats win all the toss-up districts and nothing past that. And it's a little early to tell. We don't know what would happen. I don't know if 12 seats are going to go, but you could make the case that, yes, there's certain states that could have red seats that really don't. And you could make a case that Florida, you could get a seat there. Georgia, that one rural seat. One of the ones in Alabama and Louisiana possibly could go. Same thing with South Carolina and also the St. Louis seat in Missouri, if they have the courage, so to speak. And when you kind of look at that, it's not a ridiculous gain, but what it does is it gives Republicans out of the gate the majority in the House. Maybe we could make the case for that Tennessee seat, or maybe Mississippi decides to go 4-0. If that's the case, they'd already gain in the House. That doesn't even take into account redistricting. Like, yeah, California will redistrict, but so will Ohio, Indiana, Florida, very likely early next year. We'll see what happens, but this kind of would just provide this red avalanche of seats. And of course, you have the so-called principled conservatives here that are going to whine about it. But here's the deal. If you're really principled, as you claim, you wouldn't support handing out seats based on race, especially going one way but not the other way. And all the same people that will whine and say, no, we shouldn't actually be gerrymandering or whatever, which again, the Democrats have done it. They're the worst offenders on the current map. We've gone over that time and time again. But these are the same people that will say, no, we can't fight fire with fire. We can't use the power that we have. Then they'll come out here and say this Supreme Court decision would be a bad thing. I don't understand. It's a mental sickness with these people. Just join the other side. At least it's more honest. We know where you stand, and we can go from there. But it's ridiculous that we even have to have this discussion. Here's the deal. We could talk about the census miscounting red areas, or we could talk about, the seat distribution in Illinois, New York, Maryland, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Oregon, California with the so-called independent commission that's anything but, or the ridiculous maps that they were forced to draw in Alabama or Louisiana, you name it. But the main takeaway that really needs to be talked about is, yeah, if Democrats don't like it, well, what can they do about it? Oh, just change your platform, appeal to voters. And you could say, well, you're just redrawing the map. Well, they redrew the entire country in a way when you think about it, when they passed the Hart-Celler Act and pushed for the Immigration Act of 1990 and fundamentally altered the United States. Whatever you think about that, regardless, what did Democrats say? They laugh at the concept of it. They fantasized about Republicans being out of power, and they've talked about, just change your platform, change everything you stand for, even though what we stand for is correct and what they stand for is the opposite of correct. And it's like, okay, well, then you guys now change your platform. That's the way it is. You guys made the rules. You guys made the principles on your end. Well, we're just kind of adapting to those principles, so to speak, and we're going to take it from there. So that's the way it is. But Democrats, it's insane what's going on. The way that these people are panicking. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, the only Biden Supreme Court justice, who, by the way, is a DEI pick because Biden said it himself. He said, I'm only picking Justice Jackson, not because of merit or whatever, but because she happens to be a black woman. He made that promise when he was running. I'll pick a person based on the color of their skin, not actually how qualified they're going to be, because he tried to drum up black support ahead of the election. And, well, he eventually fulfilled that promise by putting this lunatic on the Supreme Court, who now says that minorities, and this is her word, not mine, are quote-unquote disabled. She used the term disabled and are not accessibly able to vote according to her. What? That's not even true. First of all, we've seen elections in this country, even in places with voter ID and everything else, where the black relative turnout is actually higher than the white relative turnout by percentage. We've seen that. So that's not true. And if you look at where the geographic distribution of these people tend to be, they tend to live more so in cities than rural areas and have ample access to polling places. In fact, more polling places than not. But it's the same old tired, tried out lies the left likes to spin, and ironically end up insulting the voter base that they claim to want to be protecting. These are the same people that are whining about, edgy jokes that college kids sent in a group chat today. And it's like, yeah, it's unprofessional. I don't condone everything that was said, obviously. But at the end of the day, they will not condemn Jay Jones. and they will, ironically enough, in some form, seriously say things that they would find abhorrent and the worst thing in the entire country, and try to make it a #1 news story. If some college kid said what Ketanji Brown Jackson said in the group chat, but oh, the context is slightly different. Yeah, well, she's on the Supreme Court, and I think what she's really trying to do is very strange, because she's insulting the people she's trying to protect, and then also trying to disenfranchise white Americans in certain regions. In fact, this whole lawsuit that's being brought forth, ironically enough, is done by, I believe, some white voters in that one district in Louisiana, and they're challenging it from the other side of things, where they're the ones that are getting their voices drowned out by some weirdly drawn district. So we'll see what happens, but these are DEI districts that need to go, and possibly could lead to Republicans having a massive victory in the House in 2026 and beyond. And the Democrats are going to whine and say the system is rigged, instead of actually trying to, I don't know, win voters in a fair system. Again, these are the same people that have worked overtime to alter the makeup of this country, because it's power. It's all about power. And when it comes down to what they say, oh no, you just change your tune. That's what they tell us. Well, no, you change your tune now, because we're actually learning how to play your game, and we're doing it a hell of a lot better than you guys are, despite not even putting in nearly as much effort. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle out.